Pittsburgh. David is currently a licensed clinical social worker in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He is a senior clinician of global wellness and an adjunct professor with the University of Pittsburgh. As a senior clinician, David utilizes a holistic approach to treatment with an emphasis on reformability. David is not an adult medication and treatment unless it is needed. There is a reason for all behavior, he says. And when it comes to people seeking true wellness, I don't want people to depend on medication. He enjoys helping people change and explore new dimensions of themselves. In the movie The Wiz, David uses the movie The Wiz as an example.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
You guys, we were here until late last night. We were working on like 2 hours a week.
That's all we need.
It's all we need. I'm not going to read this whole thing, David. We
know David.
We all know David. We know how he is. We don't need the formal bio.
He's a home guy.
Formal bio. Well, I don't know. Who is that? Global Wellness Intervention.
Global Wellness Intervention.com.
That's right.
It's a very informative website.
You want to read the bio of your thing?
There's some individuals that are also represented on that webpage.
This isn't going to be on the webpage yet because my hair is not. I've seen y'all playing with that.
Without further ado, I give you guys David Work.
Y'all gotta get a little more excited. Y'all gotta stay off work. No family to call. No paperwork to do. Free food. Right? It's a little warm out here, but we still can get a little excited. How's everyone doing today? Before I start, I want to say thank you for allowing me to come back here today. I'm really excited. Stayed up all night. Stacy called me at 4 in the morning. I'm like, why are you at Second Chance at 4 in the morning? This sister has really done a lot to make sure that you have a great event today. So give Stacy Wright and Teresa Hawthorne a big round of applause. Today's topic, what we're going to be talking about today, if you got pen and paper, I'll tell you a story. No pen, no paper, around. I'm not going to tell Dr. McDaniel she came to an event with no pen and paper. I'm going to tell you a little story real quick, just a fun story. When I first started working at Second Chance, I was young, egotistical. I really thought I had my stuff together. And, I was a therapist. And Dr. McDaniel invited me to her office, so one of those big moments when you get to go to the CEO's office. And, in therapy, you have to write progress notes on your clients. You document information that they say. And I was, I think Tim can attest to this. I used to say that I had 95% recall. I didn't have to write anything down because I could remember every conversation. So, I thought when I went to Dr. McDaniel's office, I wouldn't need pencil and paper because I'm 95% recall boy. So I was like, I'll remember everything she said. And she, put me on the carpet and she said, David, you're in a meeting with the CEO of the organization, and you don't have pencil and paper? You don't think I have anything of value to say? And I was like, Dr. McDaniel, I have 95% recall. I'm a therapist. And she says, I'm here to make sure that you enhance professionally. And I don't care how much recall you have, when you go to a meeting with someone, you make sure you have pencil and paper because that's what professionalism is about. So I know this is a celebration, you don't have your pencil and paper, but if you have a BlackBerry, type some of this information down today. It's going to be very inspirational and very important for you to take home, take to the organization, and use to better yourself later on down the road as an organization. But today we're going to talk about global leadership in a permanent crisis. That's going to be my talk today, global leadership in a permanent crisis. And I want to start off with a story from Alice in Wonderland. How many people remember Alice in Wonderland? Do we have any people old enough to remember Alice in Wonderland? I know I was a little young, but I just used this so. Alice in Wonderland. Remember that story? Well, let me tell you about Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland was a story about a young girl who followed a rabbit down a rabbit hole to experience some of the, to explore some of the things that were going to be down this rabbit hole. Now, while Alice was down the rabbit hole, she came to an intersection. She went through a lot of different exploration down this rabbit hole, but she came to an intersection. And at this intersection, there was two roads that she could choose, and she had to make a decision on what route she was going to take. And while she was at this intersection, she saw a Chester cat. Chester cat was standing there with a big old smile, and Allison was kind of bewildered about what direction to take, so she petitioned the Chester cat and asked him, "Mr. Chester cat, what road shall I take?" And the Chester cat, with his infinite wisdom, asked her a very prominent question. And I want you to ask yourself this question, and the question was, well, where do you want to go? And Allison, once again confused about, the direction that she wanted to go, thought about it for a second and told the Chester cat, "Well, I don't know where I want to go." And so the Chester cat, once again with his infinite wisdom, responded and said, "Well, if you don't know where you want to go, then your direction doesn't matter." The moral of the story is, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. If you don't have direction, you won't know where you're going to go in life. But here's a second chance. Y'all have a direction. Your mission statement states that you want to strengthen and preserve healthy kinship families for children. With a vision statement that states you want to have a world where all adults, where all children can grow into adults, where the addiction and abuse cycles are broken. This is a great mission, and this is a vast vision. Now, I know you're saying, how are we going to accomplish this mission and this vision? And we're going to get to that a little later on down in this speech today. And we're going to accomplish it. Well, I'm going to tell you right now how we're going to accomplish it. We're going to accomplish it with global leadership, and I'm going to kind of explain what global leadership is. What is global leadership? Well, global leadership is leadership that is motivated to develop innovation and take the lead in creating value for your company, where everyone feels that they're a leader no matter what seat they sit in, whether it's general service or whether it's executive team. Everyone is a leader. That's what global leadership is. Everyone taking ownership and everyone realizing their leadership potential. Now, you heard the title, Global Leadership in a Permanent Crisis. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, permanent crisis? What is this permanent crisis? Well, I'm explaining that to you. Right now, I don't know if anyone has, I don't have a TV, but I can hear it. I got this BlackBerry, I just bought it. It gives me all the news. If you're watching the news, we're currently in a global recession. What does that mean for us as nonprofit organizations, us being in a global recession? Right now, we have high unemployment. You should be blessed that you have a job. Okay, that's not impactful to you. You should be blessed that you have a job. Right now, unemployment is at an all-time high. Right? Gas prices are astronomical. We have foreclosures. People are losing their homes. We have foundations no longer being able to fund the same amount of money that they used to give nonprofits before. What does that mean, this global recession? That means that we're a nonprofit, which we are here at Second Chance, that's going to affect our service delivery, correct? Our service delivery is going to be compromised. What else is going to happen? There's going to be downsizing. We're not going to be able to hire, we'll have to get rid of some employees because the budget is not going to be able to maintain the same amount of staff they used to. There are going to be hiring freezes. I don't know if you've experienced this yet. We're going to have to go on hiring freezes where even though we have a high caseload and we need to hire new caseworkers, we're not going to be able to hire them because the company's going to have to go on a hiring freeze just due to the fact that we can't get the funding that we need due to this global recession. recession. Then what happens if we're not able to get the staff that we need? Our deliverables are going to be compromised. And what happens when deliverables are compromised? Families are compromised. Johnny, Stephen, Tyrone won't be able to get the bed, won't be able to get the clothes, won't be able to go to the support group meetings, right? If everything's compromised. This is our global crisis. And the major crises that we're dealing with here at Second Chance is that why do consumers come to us at Second Chance? They come to us due to abuse and neglect. That's how they got here, correct? Abuse and neglect. Abuse and neglect is a traumatic situation. And Second Chance has put in place this thing called kinship care. Now, kinship care is put in place to stabilize an already traumatic event. That's why kinship care is so great, because even though you're going to be removed, you'll still get to be with family. That was the theory. However, I want to tell you today that even though I'm with my cousin, I'm not with my mother. And that's traumatizing. And that's going to be a permanent crisis that lingers with me forever. So how are we going to navigate this permanent crisis? Well, Second Chance put in place this thing called a mission statement. That's going to be our charge. Our mission statement, once again, is to strengthen and preserve healthy kinship families. Now, I'm a clinician, so words are powerful to me. I want you to listen to this word. You want to strengthen and preserve. How many people work out in here? Anyone do the gym? Anyone utilize the organizational gym? You have a gym in your organization. Have you ever thought about that? Well, strengthen. When you're strengthening muscles, it takes time. It takes preparation. You cry. You can't walk straight anymore, right? You have to tear down muscles. You have to rebuild muscles. It's a process to strengthening something. Now, how many people are from down south? Any down south individuals in the audience? Got a couple, so you're going to understand this next part. When you think about preserving something, I don't know if you have a grandmother that ever preserved fruit and you were able to witness this process, but to preserve a glass of apples takes almost a day. You have to cut these apples, wash these apples, throw some sugar on these apples, throw a little salt on them, put them in the bottom, get the right jar, seal the jar, freeze them, just so you can eat it next winter. There's a lot that goes into preserving something. So this is your charge. You're saying we're going to strengthen and preserve. This is going to be a lot of work. This is going to take some superheroes. Only superheroes save lives. So how are we going to go about addressing this charge? How are we going to go about saving our families? Well, I'm going to tell you. If our mission is the gas and our vision is the direction, then who's driving the car? That's right. Leadership is driving the car. And we got to make sure that we don't have any style of leadership. We want to have global leadership driving the car. Because global leadership is going to take you to a successful tomorrow. So let's talk about global leadership. What are the 4 keys to global leadership? Well, the first key is you're going to have to learn how to foster adaptation. The second thing you're going to have to learn how to do is you're going to have to embrace disequilibrium. Yes. Embrace disequilibrium. The third thing you're going to have to do is learn how to generate leadership. And the fourth thing, and this is the most important thing, and this is why I saved it for last, you're going to have to learn how to take care of yourself. We're trying to do the work of superheroes, and we're not taking care of ourselves. We're going to have to take care of ourselves. These are the 4 keys to having global leadership. If we want the right person driving our car, right? Correct? Yeah. All right, so let's talk a little bit about fostering adaptation. Fostering adaptation requires developing staff on all levels to generate next practices. Everyone needs to be thinking about the next day, the next corner, the next year. Everyone is a leader. We all need to develop ourselves to think about the next practices. Now, while you're thinking about next practices, you need to make sure you're staying honest. While you're enforcing respect, exhibiting dignity, and working with conviction. And when it comes to the best practices necessary for our daily success, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to stay honest, enforce respect, exhibit dignity, and work with conviction while you're dealing with the best practices necessary for our daily success. Now, I want to let you know, and I've got to be honest with you because I'm here and I like to be candid. I always shoot from the hip. It's an illusion if you think the executive team is going to lead you into the future. They can't do it. So you need to make sure that you have leadership generating new leadership deep within the organization. And why are you finding this leadership? And why are you deciding what's going to work for your organization and what's not going to work for your organization? You need to make sure that, where were you? Excuse me, everyone. We were talking about leadership deep within the organization. I apologize about that. As you're considered about what you're going to eliminate, the practices that you're going to eliminate and adopting new ones to meet the challenges of your new service delivery, you're going to have to distinguish between essential, you're going to distinguish the essential from the expendable. You're going to have to decide what should we keep and what shouldn't we keep. This shouldn't be an executive team decision. Everyone should start thinking about that decision. In my department, what should we keep and what shouldn't we keep? We have to develop new leadership. And we also need to remember how we deal with change is very important. But we should first know what should never change. We must grasp the differences between timeless principles and daily practices. You need to start thinking, what's the difference between our timeless principles and our daily practices? Next, we got to think about embracing this equilibrium. When I said that, I heard some chuckles. I know you're like, why would we want to embrace chaos? Like, I'm tired of working in this chaos. I'm fatigued right now. Well, I'm going to tell you why embracing chaos and embracing this equilibrium is important. This is why. Because without urgency, difficult change becomes less likely. There has to be an emergency for people to make change, for people to do something different. Everyone who's done something great in this world had to go through some disequilibrium before they were catapulted to the next level. If you can't endure pressure or change, how are you going to be truly sensitive to the population you serve who daily deals with pressure and change? If you can't endure pressure or change. I want everyone today, I'm petitioning all you guys to be professional change agents. I want you to go home, get a white t-shirt, put a C and an A on it, and be professional change agents. Now, I know everyone in the organization, well, I'm not going to say everyone, but I know sometimes in organizations we like to CYA, correct? Y'all know what that term means? Cover your ass? Can I say, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that's what the term means. I'm only saying that word because that's what the term means. And I know that some people like the CYA. And in some organizations, they even use that as a supervision tactic to make sure that you stay out of trouble. They teach you how to CYA. Correct? Are y'all familiar? Am I speaking to the bleachers? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're familiar? But what I want to ask you today is I want you to make a commitment to see the A. I want you to make a commitment to throw away the why and see the A and do something about it. That's what I want you to do. I'm going to say it again so you can catch it. I want to make sure that you throw away the why, see the A, so you can do something about it, right? Because leadership starts with you, okay? Stability is a liability in this current business environment. We got to make sure that we're not staying stable. If you're comfortable right now in your job, if you're comfortable, then you're not doing all you can do for your consumers. You need to be uncomfortable. You need to embrace this equilibrium because guess what? Diamonds are made with heat. So you need to decide how precious do you want to be? How bright do you want this organization to shine? And these questions have to start with you. You have to embrace this equilibrium. Next, we want to make sure that we're generating leadership. That everyone is a leader and everyone has a responsibility to make sure that they're generating leadership. We have to, like I said, we have to allow leadership on all levels in this organization. To generate new leadership, you're going to have to leverage diversity. I'm looking around the crowd, I'm seeing people who may be 19, 20, some individuals who may be 56 or older, they're still looking good, they're using the right soap. But you're going to have to leverage this. You're going to have to make sure you're blending the baby boomers with the Generation Yers and making sure you're getting all the information because they come with two different perspectives. And when you do this, when you blend these two, you're able to have a global practice because you're shifting realities that face your organization internally and externally. You're able to see the shifting realities that face your organization when you blend and leverage diversity. Generating leadership also requires that you mobilize everyone to generate solutions. Solutions shouldn't just be the answer of your supervisor. It shouldn't just be the function of your executive team or your senior management. Everyone should be coming up with solutions. If you got a problem, come up with a solution. And the way we come up with solutions, the way you allow individuals to be leaders to come up with solutions is executive team, senior management. You're going to have to allow a candid information flow on all levels. I know a lot of times when you're higher level executives, we keep certain information from our direct staff because we want to protect them. But in order to get this organization to the next level so they can start developing next practices that will want to be best practices, we want to start opening up the information line and having candid conversations so people can start generating solutions. Now, the best way to open up this information line, we all know that the process of adaptation to new ideas is as much a process of a conversation as it is of reinvention. And I want to petition all the senior executives and senior managers to start listening to unfamiliar voices. We have to start listening to unfamiliar voices and also set the tone, like I said, for candid conversation. So we can start being risk takers to go into the next level of leadership so we can develop these next practices that will one day be our best practices. It's going to take a team to implement global success. So I want y'all to start generating leadership, open up the lines of communication, come to the boardroom with solutions. In order to equip your staff with solutions, you got to open up the information line. Next, the last point of this conversation today is take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. I told you that your mission statement was to strengthen and preserve healthy kinship families. I want you to listen to what I'm saying at the last part of this conversation with a clinical ear. I know all of you are clinicians, but I believe that you are all clinicians because to do this work, you have to have a clinical eye. So I want you to listen to the words, because words are powerful. If we have any spiritual people in there, we know life and death was created with the tongue, right? Your words are very powerful. Your mission is to strengthen and preserve healthy kinship families for children. Your vision is you want a world where all children can grow into healthy adults whether abuse and addiction cycles are broken. That is a very grand plan. And to do that, you're going to have to take care of yourself. You're not going to be able to not get enough rest, not eat the right food. Bananas are very good. Make sure you get you some bananas. I did some research on bananas, and bananas have a lot of different problems. They can even help you with smoking sensation. So, bananas, get some bananas. But you're going to have to take care of yourself. You're going to have to take care of yourself. There's a couple of points I want to go up under taking care of yourself. The first point is, I want you to stay positive. I know it sounds pretty simple. You're like, wow, that's all you got? Stay positive? Well, Hamlet says that brevity is the key to wit, so we got to keep it simple. Stay positive. As a clinician, we believe in this thing called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, where we redirect negative thoughts. The reason we think this is important because when you redirect negative thoughts, you're able to put in positive thoughts. And when you have positive thoughts, you can do anything. You can change your day, you can change your attitude, you can change your lifestyle, you can change your family, you can change who you want to become. I got here today because of positive thoughts. I don't have a dime in my pocket, but I get everywhere I want to go. I went to France last week, broke. But I said I want to do it. I stayed positive. We did it. Right? Stay positive. And be realistic. You got to be realistic. Next is taking care of yourself. You need to find a sanctuary. A place where you can go, reflect, think about your perspective, and make sure that it's a global one, and come back to the office place. I don't know how many people have seen Batman and Robin, but even Batman had to go back to the cave. At least once a day. He goes back to the cave, reboots, talks to his homeboy, goes back out there and saves another life. Make sure you find a bat cave. Find a place of sanctuary so you can get some global rest and reflect. But I want to put in a point. When I said you reflect and get a global perspective, just like Batman, when he went back, he didn't go back and his butler was very negative. Batman, what you do today? You need to quit that job. I don't know why you flying around chasing them bat symbols and all that stuff. Man, you need to stop that. No. his butler was very positive. He always encouraged the work he did, always provided him with great leadership. Make sure you're connecting yourself with people who are going to enhance your mission and vision in a global perspective, in a global way. This leads me to my next point. You need to reach out to confidants. No man is an island. You need to find someone who can mentor you or someone that you feel comfortable sharing with. If you don't have that person, come talk to me. I do executive coaching, and I can be that individual for you. But if you can't find someone, make sure you find someone. At your synagogues, at your churches, in this organization, find someone that you can reach out to and who can give you global perspective and positive feedback, who's not going to be a cancer that makes you want to not stop doing the work that you do, because the kids and the family need you to do this work, because this is great work and families need you. Make sure you find a global confidant. Next, I'm going to petition you to bring more of yourself to the job. I know a lot of us, when we get a job, they give us this thing called a job description. When I was working in corporate America, I realized what the difference between a job description was and a job framework. And I was like, oh, that wasn't your framework. The job, like, this is a framework move right here. Come to the employee celebration. Wasn't in the description, but it's the framework. Right. I want you to bring more of yourself to the job. I know you get this description, but guess what? The organization has an organizational description that's different than your job description. This is it's evidence of an organizational description. Make sure you're bringing more of yourself to the job. Don't just do your job description. Make sure you're buying into the organizational job description, and then bring yourself into it. And when you bring yourself into it, you can bring your ideas, you can bring your leadership, and you can help this agency come up with the next practices that will be the best practices. Next, you want to make sure that you don't lose yourself in your role. This is very important. A lot of people lose themselves in their role. They start typecasting themselves, right? I'll give you an example. This is a colloquial example. My cousin did 13 years in prison. And when he got out of prison, I was in Greenville, and I was dating a girl at the time, so I thought I was wild. I wanted to take a roller skating. I thought I was going to be a different brother, take a roller skating. I thought that would be cute, right? So I'm at the roller skating rink with this girl I'm dating, and my cousin calls me. He wants to hang out because, you know, I live in Pittsburgh now, so I'm not home often. He's like, hey, where you at, brother? I said, hey, I'm at the roller skating rink. You know, why don't you come on out? We're all roller skating. He said, roller skating? Brother, I'm a gangster. I'm not roller skating. What is the moral of the story? This brother had decided to stay stuck in the role that he had claimed for his life. So now he can't enjoy the greatness of the day because he's a gangster. Gangsters don't roll together. Right? Make sure you don't get stuck in your role. This organization does not need widgets. We do not need widgets. We need creative thinkers. We need people who think outside of the box. I'm able to do what I'm doing today because once, when I worked at a Second Chance, I made sure that I didn't get stuck in my role. I made sure that I took all the, Second Chance has over like 9 different services that y'all provide at this organization. And trust me, if you ask your management, can you do another job, I don't think they're going to say no. If you ask, can you stop doing the job, they might say no. But if you ask for another job, they're not going to say no. When I worked at a Second Chance, I was able to see the future. So I made sure, hey, can I get some training? Can I do a support group? Can I, I started asking, can I do certain things that were outside of my role? I didn't get paid any extra. But, I wanted to do these extra things. And they allowed me to do them. Now, I got in trouble sometimes when I showed up late. But they allowed me to do them. Right? They allowed me to do them. And doing those things created this individual that you see today who grows across the country and now is able to use those same gifts that I learned here in a different environment. And I thank the Second Chance for that. That's why anytime they call me, I make sure that I answer the phone and I'm ready to collaborate with you guys. So make sure that you don't lose yourself in your role. We don't need widgets. And speaking of roles, I want to end this conversation today by saying thank you to all you individuals. I want to say thank you for being you. I celebrate you. Second Chance celebrates you. I want to thank you for those weekends when you were on call and it was because of you a placement was saved. I want to celebrate you. I want to thank you for the time that you spent away from your family. Right? The time that you spent away from your family so that you could allow the reunification of a broken family. I want to celebrate you today. I want to thank you for the late nights at the hospital when that young girl had to go get a physical exam and once again be violated and searched and removed without consideration. But you were there to you were there to be that consistent shoulder that she had in her life. I want to thank you. We celebrate you. I want to thank you for understanding the organizational mission and the need for you to go above and beyond, because you understand that the mission is so great, there's no room for inflexibility. I want to thank you. We celebrate you today. And I want to end off saying that if you want to take your organization to the next level, if you want to take your leadership to the next level, you're going to have to make sure that you implement global leadership. Because global leadership is the prescription to navigate permanent crises. I want to thank you for your time. Globally yours.
Can we give David another hand? David Burton is Global Wellness, a MAP to a better you. What's MAP stand for? Okay, whatever. Anyway.